Is the economy really this bad now? I'm at Daxing Airport, sitting in the lounge, and there's no one here. It's utterly empty, just me. It's scary. China's airports used to be busy and crowded, but now they look deserted. Many people who witnessed it firsthand have posted videos saying they were shocked. On August 17th, a blogger named Baardier shared a video on Xiaohongshu. She said inside the airport it felt like hardly anyone was flying, except for a few scattered people. She asked, has everyone stopped traveling overseas? Where is everyone? That evening, she flew out from Zhengzhou to Kuala Lumpur. She chose to depart from Zhengzhou Airport, but the place felt empty. In such a large airport, the only food options left were McDonald's and a self-served water machine. On September 6th, another person filmed Wuhan Tian International Airport. It looked bleak and deserted, with shops and restaurants all shut down. And this isn't an isolated case. On June 12, 2025, at the International Security Checkpoint at Daxing International Airport. Look at these people. Look, the entire International Departure Hall at Daxing Airport. Where is everyone? How can it be like this? How can such a huge airport have no one here? Look, even the inquiry counter is empty. Yeah, this is Terminal 2 at Beijing Capital Airport. What's going on? There's no one here. Why is it so empty? Is this related to the economy? It's about 1 p.m. on Saturday, September 7th, and the airport is so deserted. Terminal 2, no one here. Beijing Capital Airport's Terminal 2 handles and channels both domestic and international passengers. The flow of inbound and outbound passengers in China has visibly declined. At Chongqing Zhongbei International Airport's Terminal 3B, fewer flights and less commercial activity have forced many shops to close. In Hainan, one woman was stunned to find she was the only passenger on the entire plane. From the cleaners to the flight attendants, everyone told her, "This flight is basically your private charter." Now, many flights have worryingly low passenger loads. Flight attendants say it feels like they're just burning fuel for nothing. In recent years, China's economy has continued its downward trend, with a nationwide decline in consumer spending becoming a major trend amid the U.S.-China trade war. People have increasingly turned to frugality, cutting back on expenses, especially in travel and transportation. In addition to facing intensified competition from high-speed rail, China's aviation industry has also been hit by the impact of geopolitical tensions. In recent years, many countries and airlines have suspended or indefinitely canceled flights between China and their nations, triggering a wave of flight suspensions. Airlines such as Virgin Atlantic from the UK, Royal Brunei Airlines, Qantas, LOT Polish Airlines, and Scandinavian Airlines have mostly disappeared from the Chinese public's view. In 2019, the U.S. Department of Transportation began limiting Chinese airlines operations in the U.S., with the Civil Aviation Administration of China implementing reciprocal restrictions. Delta Airlines had already suspended its Detroit to Shanghai route before the pandemic, citing a simple reason: 3 consecutive years of losses exceeding $20 million. It's not just American airlines that are facing challenges. Japanese and Korean carriers have also encountered similar issues. In 2019, Korean Air suspended its Seoul to Qingdao route. In 2022, Japan Airlines canceled its Tokyo-Narita route. And Nippon Airways also canceled its Osaka to Shenyang direct flights in 2023 due to insufficient passenger numbers. In July 2024, Qantas suspended its Shanghai to Sydney route, citing low demand for international outbound travel. In November 2024, Scandinavian Airlines halted flights between Copenhagen and Shanghai. By December 2024, more than 30 foreign airlines had suspended flights to China. The shutdown of foreign airlines routes to China has led to the empty sites at international airports across the country. This not only reflects the direct impact of China's economic downturn, but also highlights the disruption of international business and tourism exchanges. Even though the Chinese government has implemented unilateral visa exemption policies, it has not been able to reverse this trend. As of now, China has unilaterally waived visa requirements for citizens from 38 countries, including France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Spain, and other European nations, as well as key economic powers like Japan, South Korea, Australia, and Brazil. However, the speed of recovery in inbound travel has been disappointing. According to Beijing's Bureau of Culture and Tourism, as of June this year, the recovery rate for inbound travel from the U.S. was only 45.2%, Germany 56.2%, the UK 57.9%, and France about 53%. The situation in Shanghai is similarly bleak. Data from the Shanghai Statistics Bureau and Xinhua News shows that from January to May this year, the recovery rate for inbound passengers from Europe, the US, and Australia was between 20% and 36% of the 2019 levels. In this context, the retreat of foreign airlines from China is understandable. The number of foreign airlines and the frequency of international flights reflects a region's, or even a country's level of internationalization and its closeness to the rest of the world. Recently, media reports revealed that in August this year, no Chinese city made it to the list of the world's busiest international routes, exceeding 5,000 kilometers in distance. The busiest of the world's top 32 intercontinental routes was from London to New York with 44 round-trip flights per day. The second busiest international route was from Paris to New York with 26 round-trip flights per day connecting France and the US. Among Asian countries, the busiest route is from Singapore to Melbourne, Australia, with 18 round-trip flights per day. For cities in Greater China, the busiest routes are from Taipei to San Francisco, ranking 17th, and from Hong Kong to Sydney, ranking 27th. Taiwan and Hong Kong have also achieved a high degree of recovery in air travel due to their freedom and air rights. While no cities in mainland China have made the list, the absence of any Chinese cities in the top 32 busiest routes raises an important question. What does this mean? It indicates that mainland Chinese cities like Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen are focused on serving national centers rather than global hubs. Undoubtedly, the more economically developed and politically or culturally influential a city is, the more advanced its aviation network tends to be. International finance centers like New York and London are typically also international aviation hubs. A country's political and economic centers are often the hubs of its air travel network. And the development of an aviation hub is often an important indicator of a city's competitiveness. However, in terms of financial market openness, internationalization of the legal environment, and business process facilitation, Chinese cities still lag behind cities like London, New York, and Singapore. While China is still basking in its unilateral visa exemption policies and efforts to attract foreign tourists, global business elites, investment moguls, and executives of multinational firms are already voting with their feet. Industry insiders have revealed that flights to China are often operating with seat occupancy rates below 50%. In such cases, airlines not only fail to make a profit, but also struggle to cover basic costs. Operating a large passenger aircraft is incredibly expensive. With high costs covering fuel, crew salaries, and airport fees, airlines suffer losses on every flight when passenger numbers are low. Moreover, China's low fare prices put significant pressure on foreign airlines. Faced with high operating costs and low seat occupancy rates, European airlines have had to adopt drastic measures to survive. Another crucial factor is the influence of geopolitics. The planes flying overhead every day also reflect the changing dynamics of international relations. Since the outbreak of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, many European flights have been forced to avoid Russian airspace, resulting in longer flight times and increased costs. Fuel consumption on European-Asian routes increased by 14.8%, and fuel consumption for North America-Asia flights rose by 9.8%. An aviation expert pointed out that detours can add 2 to 3 hours to flight times. This not only increases fuel consumption, but can also affect flight connections over time. Many routes become economically unviable. In addition, some foreign airlines have accused the Chinese government of providing unfair subsidies to the aviation industry, giving Chinese carriers a competitive edge. They call for trade protection measures against Chinese airlines. In April 2024, major U.S. airlines and airline unions wrote to the U.S. government, urging it to stop approving flights from Chinese airlines, citing Beijing's anti-competitive policies and the disadvantaged conditions for U.S. aircraft which cannot fly over Russia. If the growth of the Chinese aviation market is allowed to continue unchecked, flights will continue to be relinquished to Chinese carriers. Therefore, the retreat of foreign airlines is not a coincidence, but rather the result of a combination of economic, political, and market factors. As foreign airlines left the Chinese market, The gap in the air travel landscape was quickly filled by Chinese carriers. Although Chinese airlines are continually expanding international routes, their profitability has not been promising. As of the evening of August 29, 2025, China's three major state-owned airlines, Air China, China Eastern Airlines, and China Southern Airlines, released their financial reports for the first half of 2025. The data revealed that the three companies collectively lost over 4.7 billion yuan in the first half of the year. Air China posted a net loss of 1.8 billion yuan, which is attributed to shareholders of the listed company. China Eastern Airlines reported a net loss of 1.44 billion yuan. China Southern Airlines also lost 1.5 billion yuan. The data shows that the three major airlines have been experiencing continuous losses for years. Compared to the same period last year, Air China reduced its losses by 35%. Based in Beijing, Air China remains the most severely loss-making among the three state-owned carriers. The main reason lies in the slow recovery of international routes, with North American routes recovering to only 20% of pre-pandemic levels. A large number of wide-body aircraft have been redirected to domestic markets, causing an oversupply of capacity on domestic routes. Meanwhile, China Eastern Airlines has accumulated a net loss of over 70 billion yuan from 2020 to 2024. By the end of Q1 of this year, its total liabilities had reached over 244 billion yuan, putting its financial situation under significant strain. Headquartered in Shanghai, China Eastern is one of China's three major state-owned airlines listed in both Shanghai and Hong Kong. China Southern Airlines losses have continued to grow, with the airline reporting a more than 20% increase in losses in the first half of this year compared to last year. Based in Guangzhou, China Southern's network covers the southern regions of China. Notably, in August this year, China Southern disclosed the performance of its subsidiary, Shantou Airlines. Shantou Airlines reported a net loss of 802 million yuan in the first half of the year. In their financial announcements, the three major airlines unanimously pointed out that they are currently facing challenges, including an imbalance in market supply and demand, a continued downward trend in passenger demographics, the significant diversion effect of high-speed rail networks, and increased uncertainty in the international environment. In addition, the entire civil aviation industry has also fallen into a predicament in the first half of the year, where there are high passenger numbers but low profitability. According to data from Flight Steward, the average economy class ticket price for domestic flights in the first half of the year was 749 RMB, approximately $105, down 6.9% from last year and 7.8% lower than the same period in 2019. The civil aviation market is showing signs of increased volume, decreased prices, and exchanging volume for price. For airlines, the summer season is a key factor in determining the overall performance for the year. Data shows that by August 24th, the price of domestic flight tickets during the summer season had decreased by 3.7% compared to last year and dropped by approximately 10% compared to the same period in 2019. Some industry experts have warned that with the summer season's result falling short of expectations and ticket prices dropping noticeably, airlines face significant challenges in achieving profitability for the entire year. At the end of the day, while Chinese airlines have filled the gap left by foreign carriers, they still haven't made a profit. Experts believe the economic downturn has led to a decrease in consumer willingness to spend. Although there has been a rebound in travel demand, consumers are more price-sensitive and tend to choose cheaper travel options and ticket prices. This has intensified the price war in the aviation market. For Chinese airlines, the priority has shifted to survival. Airlines are no longer focusing on passenger comfort. Some Chinese carriers have lowered operating costs by canceling meals, limiting free baggage allowance, and cutting back on traditional services. However, complaints about Spring Airlines are common on major social platforms. Passengers have expressed discomfort with non-adjustable seats on long-haul flights, strict baggage allowances that incur extra charges, and persistent sales pitches from flight attendants. Spring Airlines' cost-cutting strategy has eroded customer trust. To further reduce costs, some airlines have begun to follow Spring Airlines' example. According to reports from the WeChat account Phoenix Weekly, China Southern Airlines has recently introduced hard seats on its planes. These new seats, known as lightweight or blade seats, have replaced the previous thick-backed ones. The most uncomfortable part for passengers is the significantly simplified headrest. Passengers have generally complained that the new backrests are too hard. The new seat cushions are too firm. The seat spacing is too narrow, and after sitting for a long time, their backs remain stiff and their legs cramped. Although China Southern has lowered ticket prices, many passengers are still unwilling to purchase them, with some even calling the airline Southern Budget Airlines. This situation has become a microcosm of how airlines are cutting costs in various ways. In the short term, a price war with low ticket prices may help airlines gain market share. But no matter how many new routes are added or how many new destinations are opened, if the revenue doesn't keep up, the future competition will be even more brutal. To survive, many Chinese airlines have adopted a model of combining passenger and cargo, using cargo hold space to transport light goods while compressing passenger baggage space. Some airlines even go as far as securing cargo directly onto passenger seats, traveling with the passengers. This makes passengers feel like they're just passive companions, with the cargo being the real priority. In May 2025, a female passenger shared her experience with the media, explaining that when she boarded a flight, she was surprised to find that there was no one next to her, only bags and cargo secured with seat belts. Just like people, the bags seemed to get tired, swaying around. The flight attendants came over to straighten them out. As flight attendants' income shrinks, the supporting services are also being reduced. The same female passenger complained, saying, "The flight attendants told us no drinks would be served today because the cart needed to carry ice packs. I thought I had booked a full-service flight only to find out before takeoff that I had to scan a code to get water." The flight attendant was busier than she was looking after passengers and also managing the cold chain. A male passenger initially had no complaints, thinking airlines are always having a hard time these days, so don't be too picky. But after a flight delay, the flight attendants announced that the reason for the delay was that the cargo refrigeration system needed temporary maintenance. That's when he realized he might have been delayed for a batch of strawberries. For many Chinese airlines, this is a lifeline, a breakthrough in transformation, and a gray area that they're forced to enter. All passengers can do is adapt. It's like getting squeezed next to a basket of vegetables on a bus or standing with a delivery box on the subway, except this time it's in the sky. As a result, we see that the services on regional flights are becoming increasingly blurred. Seats can no longer recline. In-flight meals are shrinking, and even the announcements sometimes misstate the destination, as the focus seems no longer to be on passenger experience, but on cargo efficiency. However, as the passenger experience continues to deteriorate, airlines lose more customer trust, further sinking into a vicious cycle.